Hello, good morning. So I'll answer these questions here. Number one, why am I interested in becoming a donor? I'm interested in becoming a donor as a product of my worldview. That is to say, I had kind of a life before the life I'm living now and was a salesperson and worked in a cubicle and, you know, was involved in the rat race, working to make as much money as possible, but felt utterly unfulfilled. I made a pivot and moved towards the things that I love to do and have found a new career path in line with those interests and passions. And now being involved in healthcare the way that I am and outdoor recreation, I find that being a donor is one of the greatest gifts that I could give. And that's very attractive to me. So started doing a little research and found a perfect match and have been uh, moving forward uh, since then. What do I enjoy doing in my spare time? Number two, that I alluded to in a moment ago, I'm a skier and a surfer primarily. I love to ski and I love to surf. In the same vein, I would put swimming and mountain biking, but skiing and surfing are my predominant interests. I love them. For me, those two activities are, for lack of a better word, spiritual. I find a great deal of peace and grounding and the ability to express myself the way that I would understand an artist who's given to a certain medium of expression does. For me, putting my skis on, going for a tour and putting some turns in the snow, and as well going through the ritual, if you will, of waxing a surfboard and putting on my wetsuit and going out and waiting for waves, catching a wave. They're just very peaceful activities for me. They're things that I found that if I oriented myself around, I would become a positive expression of myself. And when I realized that, I had to take it very seriously and pursue these activities in the macro direction of my life. And so that's what I decided to do. How would I describe my personality? Number three, with friends, family, schoolmates, and coworkers. I'm uh I'm thinking along the lines of the big five of psychology, the big five personality trait model. So introversion, extroversion, openness to new experience, neuroticism, conscientiousness, uh, and if I didn't already say it, introversion, extroversion. I'll pull it. I'll pull up a model of the big five so I don't miss any, and I'll tell you. So I have had uh, personality tests. I'm very interested in things like psychology. Um, so to go through the five again, the one that I missed was agreeableness. So neuroticism, openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, and agreeableness. Of course, those are all spectrums upon which somebody can be either end of extreme or smack dab in the middle of expression with respect to the statistical distribution. So me personally, before I maybe get into the big five breakdown, I'm very much an outdoor person. I love to recreate in the outdoors. I don't feel as good in a corporate meeting as I would alone in the forest. I don't know if that's a human universal, but it's certainly the case for myself. I have an interesting personality quirk, and that is I do better in high stress, high consequence environments. And I feel less effective in mundane, highly artificial social environments. Like, for example, I can run a emergency medical call, and yet grocery shopping can be a pain for me. Uh, it's just I hear everybody's conversations. I always want to be agreeable and affable, and I get a little uh, prickly in those kinds of situations, being asked to stay still, stay in the same place, stand in line, these kind of things. Of course, I could, it's no issue, but if given the opportunity, I would prefer to be in the ocean or the mountains any day of the week. So to get down to a personality breakdown that's coherent and understandable, let me tell you, I'm very open. I'm a very open person. That is to say, I'm always excited for the next adventure. I'm always interested in new ideas. Uh, Interestingly, in a political sense, I'm left leaning in that uh, openness is a proxy for the political left. Again, I like newness. Uh, I'm not so scared of the novel or the foreign, so I'm very open. Neuroticism, I'm actually pretty high in neurotic characteristics as well. I'm a deep thinker. I'm a think counter thinker. I again, one of the reasons I'm not super into things like reality television or not a big party or anything like that. My circle is quite small in terms of my friend groups. I am quite neurotic. That being a proxy for the tendency towards negative emotion. Um, I have gone through bouts of melancholy in my life. My 20s were quite difficult. Again, alluding to kind of understanding who I am, what I'm about, what I'm interested in. So that goes back to being a fairly neurotic person. Agreeableness. I am quite agreeable. I want everybody to be happy. I'm a people pleaser. I don't like to fight. Not interested in conflict. One of the interesting ironies of that is I love things like martial arts, in that they're ways of navigating conflict positively, of expressing competition positively, constructively. I love that. I'm drawn to that kind of thing. Again, probably because of the fact that I'm quite high in trait agreeableness. Extroversion, introversion. Weirdly, in that I'm so open, I'm quite introverted. I can feel often that I overshare. One of the interesting things that happens to high openness, low extroversion, high openness, high introverted people is you get us talking and we'll tell you everything you want to know, and then kind of our neurotic introverted selves might second guess that behavior. So yeah, high in openness, low in extroversion, high in introversion. I'd much rather play a video game by myself than be in a group talking at a bar or something like this. And then the last on the big five is conscientiousness. I'm quite middle of the road conscientious, at least in my perspective. People might say from the outside that I'm conscientious. I'd just as soon lounge around in my PJs all day if I don't have to do anything. But I think probably my neuroticism tempers my conscientious behavior patterns. I do like to give a good accounting of myself. I keep my agreements. I take my word very seriously, that kind of thing. So again, I think that I'm kind of middle of the road conscientiousness, but that maybe that's because of my way of setting the scale. but I think subjectively from other people's experience, at least from what I've heard, I'm fairly conscientious. So I gave you a good kind of understanding of my personality. I kind of alluded to friends, family, schoolmates, and coworkers. I'll go a little deeper on that idea with friends. I am a sharer. I like to talk. I love to think deeply and talk through issues and thoughts and feelings and dreams and goals and all this kind of thing. So I like to think of a good friend in that I like to go on adventures and talk through things. Um, yeah, so there's friends for you. Family, um, what can I say? My family's pretty spread out. My brother lives a state away, as do my mother and father. Uh, my father lives half the year in uh, in Thailand and the other half of the world. He had remarried. Um, so I am agreeable, conscientious, um, and maybe not as open as I had been as a child with my family. Given that my family has adult children now, and both me and my brother have children of our own, and have kind of evolved into the parents of our family as opposed to the children of our birth family. It's interesting how that has manifested in a little bit of a change in personality de facto with my family. Now I suppose I would count my wife and her family as my kind of primary family, and with them I'm very uh, agreeable, conscientious, and open. I love to do things that are novel and exciting with my family. Schoolmates and coworkers, conscientious, agreeable. I think those would be my two most noted traits. Again, and open. If you get me in a group or a project or something, I'll give you all the ideas I got. Okay, number four, please describe my childhood. Okay, so I grew up in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley in San Jose, California, close enough to Santa Cruz to, as I got older, be intrigued with the ocean and want to be surfing all the time. And so that's what I did kind of in my college years. But as far as my childhood, it was a nuclear family of four. So me, my brother, who was older, 6 years older than myself, and my mother and father. My grandparents were lovely. My parental grandparents, or I should say my paternal grandparents, lived in Colorado for most of my life. But we would make trips over there. My maternal grandparents lived in Santa Clara, not far away. Learned a huge amount from my grandparents, very inspirational, very mentor like figures to me, taught me skills and morality and ways to behave that uh, were difficult not to model simply by virtue of the impact that they had in my life. But my family, my father was a pediatrician my entire life. For 40 years, he had a private practice in the Bay Area of California. And my mother and father got divorced when I was 8, which was very difficult for me. One of the reasons I am a huge proponent of the family, and I suppose by extension am excited to be a donor, is for the reason that being in a broken family was so difficult for me. I'm 36 years old now. My parents split up almost 20 years ago. No, almost 30 years ago, excuse me. And to this day, it's something that sticks with me and tempers my worldview and personality. I suppose it's one of the reasons I'm so high in agreeableness, um, and probably as neurotic as I am. It's easy for children, especially the youngest children, to feel like breakups are their fault. Um, I think I had a bit of that. So yeah, my parents split up. After that, my father lived on a country club, was able to continue his career and do quite well. Dated a little bit, but didn't remarry for several years, for many years, almost a decade. Um, Remarried a Thai national, and they have a home in her hometown. So my father and stepmother live half of the year in each country, and they're doing great. My mother remarried. around 5 years after the divorce. My mother and myself and my brother, before he went off to college, were in and out of different apartments and condos. That was my primary caretaker, my mother. And she went through some difficult times after the divorce. She had a real struggle with depression, and um, I don't want to understate how big of a deal that is and was to me in my life. It was a huge motivator to take mental health as seriously as I do in my life. And it gives me a lot of motivation in my career path. I'm involved in emergency medicine. And I just saw what depression can do to a person. And it really helped me to crystallize the kind of mental fortitude and emotional health that I would need in my life to avoid something like that ever happening. And just the emotional pain of seeing somebody that you love go through that and not be able to change the circumstance. That was really something for me as a young boy, and I credit that with helping me to grow up in a way that made me strong. And I suppose if I could change it, I would, but I can't. And so I need to take the positive lessons from that, and I endeavor to do that. So hope I've described that fairly. Please describe my friends. Okay. I have friends that I work with, as a lot of us do. My closest friends at 36 years old now that I've had for some time are friends that are into the same activities that I am. So I've met great friends of mine in the water surfing. I ski with good friends of mine. My best friend lives in Medford. We live in Bend, Central Oregon. And my best friend will get together with me every so often, and we go skiing. We go ski touring, and then we'll go ski Mount Bachelor and that kind of thing. But for the most part, I have active, physically fit, adventurous friends. I don't drink, so I don't have friends involved in going out or that kind of thing. I surround myself with individuals that I'd like to be like. I learned that lesson from the sales days of working jobs underneath people that I didn't want to emulate. And so I've made that correction in my friend group. So yeah, again, just empathetic, interesting, intelligent individuals that are also, for the most part, interested in outdoor recreation. Those are my friends in a nutshell. All right, number 6. Anything else I would like to share with the family, experience at school, goals, dreams, etc. Yeah, I'd like to have a big happy family. I'd like to continue to grow, economically and in our little corner of the world. I do things like ski touring and surfing that I've alluded to, and for me to be able to travel the world and do those things is a great draw. I've already had the opportunity to travel to some wonderful locations, and that has absolutely been one of the cornerstones of my life. I'm so grateful for the travel that I've done. So continued travel is a big goal of mine. Not probably rushing back to school at this point, but I am always accumulating new certifications and accreditations in my line of work. Again, I'm in emergency medicine, and for me, having more certifications makes me more marketable and able to draw a greater wage in the marketplace. So to continue to grow in my skill set, in my recreation, in my family, and hopefully in my ability to articulate and help the people around me, like whomever's watching this video. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it very much, and I hope this meets you well. So thanks for watching.